and welcome back to the Good to Go Guided Meal Program. Today we are making seared tofu with cashews and snap peas. Start by pouring your rice into a medium saucepan and running cold water over it. By doing this, you're getting the excess starch off of the rice grain. You see how the water gets a bit foggy here? You want to do this a couple times until you can see the water is running clear. I usually wash my rice at least twice. Okay, now that it's all rinsed, we can add our cooking water to the rice. So for 1 cup of rice, you want to add 1.5 cups of water. Once we have that, we'll add a little bit of oil and a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Now put the rice on high heat and bring it to a boil. While we're waiting for the rice to come to a boil, take your block of tofu and just wrap it in a clean paper towel or kitchen towel and press some of the excess water out of it. Now, using a knife, cut it in half and do the same. Squeeze the water out of it again. Now that the water is all squeezed out, cut it into bite-sized cubes. Season both sides of your tofu cubes with salt and pepper. Our rice is coming to a boil, so I'm going to stir it up here. Then put a tight-fitting lid on it, or I guess a plate if you don't have one of those. And let it cook for an additional 12 to 15 minutes on low. Then remove it from the heat and leave it covered for 10 minutes. In the meantime, take a non-stick pan and put it over medium heat. Add a bit of oil, and then once the oil heats up and gets a bit shimmery, add your tofu blocks. Let the tofu cook for 2 or 3 minutes on one side before flipping it over and letting it cook on another side, or the opposite side, for an additional 2 to 3 minutes. It should be a nice golden brown in color, like this. When it is uniformly golden brown on at least 2 sides, remove it from heat and set the pan aside. Trim the green onions and slice them into rounds. Now we can peel and trim our ginger and grate it on the smallest grating size you have on your box grater. Finish grating your ginger and then grate your garlic. Set both aside. Get your pan nice and hot again and put a couple glugs of a neutral oil, like you can use canola or I use avocado oil, something like that. Throw in your snap peas and get them sizzling. You want them to cook on one side for about 2 minutes before shaking them up and flipping them like I'm doing here, just so they get that nice brown color on one side. Cook for another minute, tossing them around occasionally, and then remove from heat and put in a bowl. Toss with a pinch of salt and set aside. Add another glug of oil to your hot pan and add the garlic and ginger. Stir for about 30 seconds and then add the coconut milk and maple syrup, as well as the tamari. Stir it together and continue to simmer it for several minutes until it turns a deep brown in color and becomes quite a bit thicker. Then add your cashews and your tofu. Stir it all together, being sure to coat each tofu cube with the sauce. Then remove from heat. To the snap peas, add the roughly chopped cilantro and the thinly sliced green onions, and toss. And now it's time to plate. Gently fluff the rice with a fork, and then portion onto 4 plates. Do the same with the snap pea mix. And finally add the tofu and cashews. Seared tofu with cashews and snap peas, good to go.